civilmedia.mk. Slobodno, nezavisno, otvoreno.
I would like to focus a little bit on the global level, but also on the journalistic perspective. And since we do not have so much time for our input, I would like to start or to reflect a bit this very basic model of democracy. We have these three main pillars. You all know this. This is legislature, then executive powers and judiciary. And in the ideal world of a functioning democracy, we have also the fourth pillar, that is the media pillar, with the tasks of information, delivering information, fact-based information, communication, control, and it's also for the media pillar important to act as a corrective to the people in power, also to the three other pillars I mentioned before. I think really this is very crucial to understand. And when I started my journalistic career some decades ago, we had in Germany the Spiegel Day. That was the Monday. Yeah, the public was waiting for the Monday to be published and to read the most important facts during the week, yeah, and that was delivered by the Spiegel. This changed a lot, yeah, with the upcoming of the internet and the new importance of new platforms and new medias. Actually, I think we saw that this digitalization provided a lot of chances for the media sector, but we have also to state that we are facing disadvantages and risks, since then the news sector and the media sector has changed fundamentally. Nowadays, everybody can infuse his content, so-called news, at any time in the internet. And I think this led to the following consequences. We have a bipolarity. On the first hand, we see a fact-based professional journalism, a media content, you know, like always. But on the other hand, we have a flow of fake news, of disinformation, of fake news. And these trends are becoming more and more global, right, to our model of democracy, because it's discrediting, especially also the fourth pillar, the media sector. People are not anymore believing what the professional media sector is providing. It's undermining the democracies, and it's also, I mean, we heard this also from the first panel, it led to several attacks worldwide on journalists that they were just doing their jobs, right, by delivering facts. So people get their information mainly from Facebook, from Instagram, from sources who are quite questionable and who are not really transparent. I would like to focus on three examples because I think we have some blueprint how these disinformation machineries are bringing democracies in danger. The first example I would like to mention is the topic of migrants. We saw this in Germany with 2015 and 16 with this high influx of migration. And then the right-wing propaganda machinery started discrediting the migrants, but also discrediting the government, the Merkel government in that case. And even though after 2016, we had a normalization of the situation, still right-wing propaganda was infused in the internet. And it was, the main narrative was that, you know, we have a wave of migrants, and that brings Germany as a whole, the European Union, and especially the Christianity in Europe at a risk. So that was what was really important, the fact that Germany is urgently needing workers, for example, 260,000 annual per year, that was not mentioned. That was totally denied. So as a consequence, and this is highly important also, how could we learn from this example, is that we had as a consequence, a new party, AfD, Alternative für Jematschi, in the German Bundestag right now, as a direct consequence of this right-wing wrong propaganda machinery. We see that the public discourse is highly radicalized. We saw attacks on the Merkel government. Merkel muss weg. She has to be eliminated. And I think this is a really very, very crucial example how also right-wing propaganda and fake news are bringing also traditional democracies under pressure. So coming back to a second example, these were the US elections in 2020. The Trump administration launched a tsunami of fake news during the whole of 4 years of Mr. Trump's time in the White House. But this culminated in the narrative of a stolen election after the election took place last year. So the narrative was highly influential, and it was without, any legal and factual base. In contrary, there were studies that this was one of the most secure and elections in the history of America. The Republican Party, nevertheless, was supporting these fake news and these wrong narratives. And as a consequence, we saw the coup d'etat on the 6th of January, when really a storm happened, a mob of right-wing extremists, but also ordinary people stormed the Capitol Hill and attacked the police officers and everybody who was in charge to defend the Capitol Hill. So this was a clear attack on state institutions based on this wrong narrative, stop the steal. And again, I think we can learn of this as a blueprint, how a functioning democracy at that time is really put under danger only by using a wrong narrative. So cybercrime that was mentioned before is only one thing, I think. We have also to focus and to reflect those propaganda machineries that are coming from the people in power, and especially also in Southeastern Europe. So a third example for these mechanisms, I would say, was really the Corona pandemic, when we saw that the spreading of fake news, of misinformation, was a global phenomenon. Especially, we had a trend that was undermining the confidence in state institutions and in the statements of health experts. We saw this in Germany, we saw this in America, we saw this in Brazil, we saw this really as a worldwide trend, but especially also in the Western Balkan countries. So at the end, we saw two main consequences. There was the denial of the pandemic and the denial of the danger of the virus itself. And we were confronted with conspiracy theories of any kind. And behind that, studies were brought out recently in the US, that these were individuals, but that it was pretty much also organized. Some of these trolls, some of these organized, fake news were coming also from Russia. So as a consequence, we have clearly to state this is a hybrid war. It's a war about facts. And the resistance of broader social groups did not accept, for example, the lockdown rules or the regulations. They didn't have interest in the vaccination. So we saw also in this context a radicalization of the public discourses and destabilization effects. And for sure, this was also mentioned before for example, in Serbia, we saw a lot of attacks against the governments, partly, but also against journalists and health experts. So I think this also, as a third, topic, was a really crucial example how these mechanisms are working. As a conclusion, and then I would like to end here my input, we really have to state that fake news and disinformation is becoming more and more a global challenge, and therefore we also need global answers. I think it doesn't make any sense just to find a way only to, for example, to fight fake news in Germany. I think really we need global agendas, global networks. We have also to question the position of people in power. When we saw also last year death threats, for example, in Slovenia. This is a EU member state, right? And also there, journalists were being attacked just because they were doing their job. So we clearly have to state this is also a problem within the European Union. And I think we need, first of all, this was mentioned before also on media literacy, on education, but we need also platforms like this to exchange. Political discourses are needed on the problems, and what we need, and that was discussed by me and Jabir recently, I think we should create a network for free media, especially in the region of Southeastern Europe, because this is completely missing so far. And yeah, we will proceed with this. Hopefully you will also join us in establishing this network.
Civilmedia.mk. Slobodno, nezavisno, otvoreno.